even elite athletes need support to reach their goals, to go further than those before, and to leave sport better for those after. Athletes Can represents members of Canada's senior national teams who compete at multi-sport and world championship events. Our mission is to speak with one powerful voice to advocate for an athlete-centered sports system where athlete rights are respected, athlete concerns are heard and acted upon, and where athletes influence key decisions made in Canada's sports system. We develop athlete leaders who influence sport policy and inspire a strong sport culture. We're a safe and inclusive place to share your perspectives and concerns on the issues you care about. And together, we initiate and sustain changes. We were the first organization founded by national team athletes for athletes. We've been global leaders in athlete representation ever since. Join Athletes Can. This is your home. Même les athlètes élites ont besoin de soutien pour atteindre leur but, pour aller plus loin que ceux et celles avant eux et pour laisser un sport meilleur à ceux et celles qui les suivront. Athlètes Can représente les membres des équipes nationales seniors du Canada qui participent aux manifestations multisports et championnats du monde. Nous avons pour mission de parler d'une seule voix puissante en faveur d'un système sportif centré sur l'athlète, où les droits des athlètes sont respectés, où les préoccupations des athlètes sont entendues et prises en compte, et où les athlètes ont une influence sur les décisions clés qui sont prises dans le milieu sportif du Canada. Nous formons des athlètes leaders qui influencent les politiques du sport et inspire une solide culture sportive. Nous offrons un endroit sécuritaire et inclusif pour partager vos points de vue et préoccupations sur les questions qui vous tiennent à cœur. Et ensemble, nous suscitons et réalisons des changements. Nous avons été le premier organisme fondé par les athlètes des équipes nationales pour les athlètes. Depuis, nous avons toujours été des leaders mondiaux en matière de représentation des athlètes. Joignez-vous à Athlètes Can, vous y êtes chez vous.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to day 2 of the national team trials here in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. My name is Pierre-Luc Liberté. I'll be your host today, and I'm joined with Laurence Vincent Lapointe this morning. Good morning, Laurence.
Good morning. How are you all today?
Great. It's good to have you. Thanks for joining us this morning for what looks to be an exciting slate of finals. We'll have for you at home today the women's C1 200 final this morning in just a few minutes, which is it's great that we have you to commentate on that one. So especially this was your event for so long, and then we'll have the men's C1000 meter A final followed by the men's K1000 A final, and then a short break before we come back for the women's K1 500 A final. Following those will be a slate of B finals for a number of these athletes, and then a few para races as well. So we're just about to get underway here for our first final of the day, the women's C1 200 meter A final, and we have a great slate of athletes that will be racing. You can see them as they're starting to go towards the start line, but Laurence, maybe I'll let you go through the start list, and given you know all of these athletes really closely.
Yeah, this morning is going to be a very interesting race. Granted, we've had some impressive results yesterday, some that were expected and some that were less expected. And so in lane 1, we have Marley McIntosh, who has been around for a very long time. She's a young athlete, but she's good and she's there to stay. In lane 2 from Chima, we have JC Grant, a newer name that I personally haven't raced against. And then Sloan McKenzie in lane 3 from Chima did really good yesterday in the heats. Lane 4 from Cascade, Sophia Jensen, one of the strongest member on this starting line. Then lane 5 from Mississauga, Katie Vincent, my previous partner and a very, very strong opponent. Lane 6 from Lac-Beauport, Anna Roy-Cyr, very strong also. Will be interesting to see the finish line on that one. 7th lane from Sinobi, Ava Carew, a strong opponent, younger one. And then lane 8 from Trois-Rivières, Anne-Sophie Lavoie-Parent, from my home club. She's also been there for a very long time. And Masqua, lane 9, Jessica McKay. interesting race. All good luck to the girls.
Yeah, and great start here. I think we saw Sophia just
Yeah,
take a slight lead as we went off, but this is so close as we go down, anyways, that it's going to be anybody's
yeah,
race as we're coming down.
yeah.
Looks like the two
We can
boats in the
see.
middle are yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we can see Katie, Sophia, and Sloan are very close, probably neck to neck. It's hard to see from this angle. Um, it's very close from here. We don't know exactly how it's gonna go, but it's coming to an end very shortly, and I'm curious to see who. Oh, so seems like Katie Vincent, then Sophia Jensen, and Sloan McKenzie in 1 through 3. Um, it's basically what the eats were yesterday. So good job to all the girls.
Yeah, great race by all of them. Katie really lengthening that stroke in the second half there and showing a lot of experience as she's coming through and not panicking and keeping her boat under control as the lactic
Yeah.
acid was building. So great to see a good race here to kick off the day. We'll get the results for all of you once they get confirmed in the next little while. But reactions, Laurence, like how does it feel watching the race from this seat instead of being on the water this year? Any
It's quite
reflections, I
exciting.
guess, as the girls go?
Yeah, it's quite exciting, and also from my experience racing and training with them, I know, for example, some girls are really strong on the start. Namely, like Sophia is very strong starter, but then Katie has a lot of experience from coming back and making sure she stays, like you said, level-headed until the end of the race. And I think that's what she did this morning. Hard to say from, we were from the back, but seeing as she came in first, I believe they gave it everything they had, and experience brought her in to the front.
Yeah, a great race, and it's also good to see some of the younger names starting to push the field. For a while, it was you and Katie, and then and everyone, and then we're seeing some newer names come up, and younger names from Nova Scotia and from elsewhere, just starting
Certainly.
to raise the level. So it's great to see, and it's kudos to you and really the influence that you've had on this entire discipline. So. I'm sure
I think,
it would be hard. It would be hard for any of them to not call you a role model or someone they wanted to be when they started to
yeah.
train. So,
They
yeah,
impressed me so much, and seeing them today on the line, and everyone, there's no one that's like super far behind. Everyone is very close and very strong, and it makes me glad to see that we're not dropping any time soon, and we're there to stay as a country. So I'm very impressed by the girls, and they're amazing.
that's great. Well, yeah. So we'll just wait for the results as they get confirmed, and we'll get them to you as soon as possible. Our next race is going to be the senior men's C1 1,000 meters, and as you'd expect, because we're moving from a 200 to 1,000, there's a bit of a gap, so officials can make their way up, and then the boats can all get ready. So that race will be at 8:20 Atlantic time, 7:20 Eastern. So we'll stay with you in the meantime and just and keep you company on this nice day in Dartmouth. It is a chilly 3 degrees on the lake at the moment, with some light winds, as you may see on the screen, just from 5 kilometers an hour from the northeast. So small tailwind as we're going through. It will go up to about 12 degrees a little bit later today, with the wind actually shifting to a south wind. So later in the day should be a little bit of a headwind for these athletes, but light wind conditions. So should be a fair day for racing as we go through. And we have a nice shot here of Simon McTavish paddling up for his final, winner of one of the heats yesterday and semis. So Laurence,
um,
how
yeah.
have you been keeping busy, I guess, this year? First year not going to camp in a very long time. How has the experience been? How does it feel to kind of be back around paddling, around the trials in a different role?
Honestly, sometimes we think we're gonna miss it, or we're gonna be nostalgic, and I'm just happy to see everyone doing well, and I don't really miss it. I've been really busy with school, enjoying my new student life, and I just feel it's great to be a part of something like this. Being able to watch and comment the trial is gonna be, it's fun. And
That's
you
awesome.
mentioned it, but as we know, athletes they do enjoy having a tailwind more than a headwind. But at the very least, as long as it's a straight line wind, as it seems to be right now, and probably later if it's a headwind, it's better for everyone than having a side wind. As we know, Banook, the lake sometimes can get a pretty strong side wind. So I'm sure the athletes will be happy even if it's a headwind, as long as it's not a side. And I'll be curious to see the times. I think with the tailwind right now, it can be really fast. With the headwind, it might be slower during the day. We'll have to
Yeah,
see.
and actually, and speaking of time, so we've got results, preliminary results still at this time, but Katie Vincent from Mississauga did take the win in a 46.8, followed by Sophia Jensen from Cascade in a 47.3, and Sloan McKenzie, pardon me, came third in a 49.0. So from Chima, just down the road in Waverly. So great to see a strong top three, all under 50 seconds. Really
Yeah,
showing
indeed.
some good level here, especially with some cold water out there. We all know they'll get faster as the weather warms
Yeah.
up and they get ready to compete throughout the summer and on this lake at World Championships at the end of the summer.
Yeah. It's also, you mentioned earlier that the weather is around 3 degrees right now. And to people who don't know, 3 degrees is like a weather where it's really hard to warm your muscles up. So no matter the warm up you do before your race, it's very difficult to be on the line and feeling like ready to go. So to see, like you said, three good times under 50 seconds, and even then Katie did 46.8. Those are really, really good times for this time of the year with such conditions.
And we have a nice shot here of all the athletes kind of making their way up. As we said, the next race will be 1,000 meters, so I'll take a bit of time for everybody to get up there, warm up on Lake Banook as they're paddling on the left-hand side of the course, and then we'll come back down with lane one closest to you as we're watching some of the races go down. Once again, we have a slate of final. We had just the first one just completed, the women's C1 200 meter. Great and exciting race. And then the next few races are going to be the men's C1 1,000 meter, followed by the men's K1 1,000 meter. And then after that, the women's K1 500. Then we'll go into a number of B finals and C finals, and then eventually get to some of the para races that are completing some of the day. So this morning, our last final will be the second final of the para 200 meter. So if you were joining us yesterday and you got to see that race in tough wind conditions, today their lanes are switched, so people will be on the different side of the course as they're getting ready to race. And a little bit later today, a number of heats and semis, and then a second final for para races will close the day. So a really long day today compared to yesterday, as athletes are getting ready for their second day of trials of this 4-day event. Singles most of the time, and then the last day we'll see some crew boat racing.
Yeah. During a competition where you have 4 days, athletes have to be aware that, they have to give everything for every race, but they cannot afford to drop like their energy towards like the last day. Like they have to keep up the energy for the full 4 days. So it is sometimes, I guess sometimes it's strategy game, if people can afford it. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's do or die for every single race, and then at the end, it's just try to survive. So it's going to be interesting to see who still has energy by the fourth and last day.
Yeah, for sure. And I think also as we watch these races, it might be a bit of a blast from the past for you. I think one of the men's canoe athlete out there may have one of your old C1.
Yeah,
So
he
it'll be great to
actually
see
got
that
it
boat
from me
race.
this week. He
There you
actually
go.
got it from me this week. Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
like I said, a little bit of nostalgia, but I'm glad I'm not out there with this kind of weather.
Yeah, certainly. First set of trials is always a bit of a tough one, physically and mentally, because it's so cold and it sets the season, and it's nerve-wracking because you haven't
Yeah,
raced yet and everything. So it's really a good test for
definitely.
everybody to kind of set where they're at and then get them ready for a big summer.
Yeah. Do you ever miss it going out there?
Not in May. I missed it in August. I think when we get closer to nationals, and I think about that, I like that event much more than I like trials. So I think that's when I miss it the most. Fun crew
For
boats,
sure.
C15s, and a little bit of that, and the atmosphere and all the clubs. That's the part I miss the most, and just the community around it. So
For
hopefully,
sure.
if you're and I think this year especially will be really fun. For folks who may not know. Shawinigan will be hosting the national championships. So just in Laurence's backyard, basically just north of Trois-Rivières. So it should be a
Yeah.
great event. I've seen some of the plans and everything. I don't know if you're involved, Laurence, at all, but should be really, really fun to go up there and
Uh,
compete.
yeah, I will be involved. I am one of the president of honor, I guess, for the national national championships. So it is going to be very fun and interesting to see in my backyard, like you said. But also, it's a really good body of water with usually a tailwind, sometimes different wind. But we cannot choose what we get. But a very nice and beautiful body of water. I'm sure athletes and families alike will love the place. So it's going up. There we have the starting list.
Yeah, and so we have a number of these athletes here that made their way to the A final. So in lane one, we'll have Peter Bradley from Rideau. In lane two, Andrew Billard from Masqua. Lane three, Brett Himmelman from Masqua as well. In lane four, Craig Spence from Chima. Lane five, Connor Fitzpatrick, Olympian from 2020, plus one, Sonobi. In lane six, Alex Planteur du Lac Beauport. In lane seven, Matt O'Neill from Rideau. In lane eight, Foster Salpeter from Pointe Claire. And then in lane nine, Edouard Baumier de Trois-Rivières. So really strong representation from a number of provinces here as we're getting ready to go in this C1 1000 meter, the Olympic distance for the men's C1. So should be an exciting one, a big fight between some of the middle lanes as we're getting ready to go. I've heard they all had a really strong camp up in California, all training together and really pushing each other under the direction of head coach Anders Gustafsson and the men's canoe coach, or the canoe coach now, pardon me, Andreas Dittmer. So it should be exciting to see the progression they've all made post Olympic, especially as they're all hoping to get a spot on the world's team for the World Championships that will happen on this lake a little bit later this summer. So Laurence, when you race 1,000 meters, which I know you haven't done as much maybe, but when you race 1,000 meters, any difference in mindset as you get ready to line up and go versus a 200?
Certainly, you mentioned there is going to be a fight between the middle lanes mostly, and 1,000 meter is such a strategic race because unlike the 200 meter, you cannot just go all out and stay strong until the end, right? For 1,000 meter, you have to make sure every part of the race. So often the race is separated in four 250s in the athlete's mind, and you have to make sure that every 250 is yours. You don't do it for the person you have against you. You do it for yourself. So you have to really focus. If your first 250 is to go all out, and then you have the second 250 more a middle pace. Well, if that's your race plan, you have to stick to it, because if you get stressed by the person beside you, then you're most likely going to fail at the end if you cannot follow your own race plan. Sorry. So it's going to be very interesting to see if everyone's keeping their mindset very strong. And I'm sure we'll see a lot of fighting, probably more in the second half, because this is where it mostly plays on who's going to win. And it's going to be a very, very fun and interesting race, I'm sure.
And again, lane one closest to us here on the camera, lane 9 on the outside. So lane 1, Peter Bradley; lane 2, Andrew Billard; lane 3, Brett Himmelman; Lane 4, Craig Spence. Lane 5, Connor Fitzpatrick. Lane 6, Alex Planter. Lane 7, Matt O'Neill. Lane 8, Foster Salpeter. And in Lane 9, Edouard Beaumieu, as we're getting ready to get underway here in the C1000. You'll notice they're not using start gates for the 1000 for this event. We just put one for the 200 to keep the races fair a little bit. And here athletes are just lining up themselves, and there's a starter that just coordinates. But here we go. Great start here by Craig Spence, just jumping a little bit ahead of Connor, but lot of room and a lot of time still to go in this 1,000 meters. So you should see the athletes start making moves towards the middle, as Laurence mentioned.
Yeah, and like I said, it's going to be really to each their own race plan. Like we said, Connor seems to have had less of a aggressive start than, for example, Craig did, but it doesn't mean anything because at the beginning of the race, it's still so far from the end that it's everyone's game for sure.
Yeah, and I think from I haven't raced a 1,000 in a long time, or a good 1,000 in a long time, but certainly the recollection is focusing on the glide of that boat, right? If you can keep the boat moving, keep the boat gliding, keep quality strokes as you're going through, the moment you start fighting yourself or trying too hard or getting out of control, then certainly the boat starts going backwards and you're starting to have problems. So great shot here from the athletes from the front.
Yeah, those races are all about efficiency and just keeping strong and not panic. Like you said, not spin out of control. So I don't know. From here, we cannot see any, how the first few boats are doing. Are they fighting hard? Are they, more relaxing? I bet they're not relaxing at all. So that I can assure. But yeah, it's difficult to see from the front. Everyone seems to be paddling really well. Impressive strokes, good glide, like you mentioned. Everyone's keeping up until for the end of the race and making sure they're still strong enough.
Yeah, it looks like Connor may have a slight edge overall, and then in second place, I think by Alex and Craig. Yeah, so
Craig and maybe
too close to say for second Alex at this point. It looks like Connor has a little bit of a lead on the rest of the field at this point.
Yeah, Alex and Craig being close by. It's
and we can
still,
see so Connor from Zenobia taking the lead here in lane 5 in the black boat, followed by Craig Spence here in the Dartmouth flag colored boat, and then down in lane 2, Andrew Billard and Brad Himmelman and Alex Planter all being very close, fighting for that podium spot. So it should be interesting to see if Connor went a bit too hard and someone's able to put a move on him in the second half. But looking really relaxed and really good here as he approaches the last 300 meters of this race.
And from what I know, Connor is a very, very strong athlete who has such a defined race plan that I'm pretty sure he's got it. Like he's got enough energy to finish this race, unless there's a big mistake. We'll see, but it would be surprising if everyone caught up to him, for sure.
Yeah,
Craig seems to be, pushing until the end too, giving more energy and making sure he keeps that second place spot.
Yeah, and great race here for second, third, and fourth. I think between the two mascot athletes of Brett Himmelman and Andrew Billard trying to chase down Craig as they enter the last 100 meters of this race. The orange buoys, always a relief to see, but also really hard at this point. So good to see these athletes push.
I remember that feeling of very heavy arm and just having to finish the race. So it's always a relief when we get to this point where we have Connor first, Craig second, and Brett in third with a very good finish.
Good race there for all top 5. Impressive
amazing
finish
race
this
for
morning.
sure. Amazing
And we're
race.
seeing everyone round up the field. So in lane 9, Edouard finishing up, and in lane 1, Peter Bradley from Rito just rounding up the field here in this strong senior men's D1000 A final. We'll have to wait a few minutes for the results to come through, but really great effort by all of those athletes. 1,000 meters are really difficult in a different way from 200. Certainly get your lungs going a lot more. And then those athletes will have to rest as they have a C1 500 meter heats and semifinal a little bit later today. So a busy day for these canoers today.
Yeah, and a very mental day too, because if you had a great race, it's a good push for the rest of the day. But if you had a not as good race as what you planned or anything, you have to refocus, and you cannot stay on a counter. How do you say that? You cannot stay on a bad.
Yeah.
Huh?
Just the negative mindset. You got to move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to refocus and be ready.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully everyone feels like they've given their best out there, and then they get ready to go for their 500 a little bit later. In the meantime, we'll get ready for the men's K1 1,000 meter, which will take place in a few minutes' time. Again, it will be an exciting race there with some of the Olympians from Tokyo lining up, and some of the younger names from either Olympic hopes, U23, and Junior Worlds, all vying for some of those senior spots on the World Cup and World Championship teams. So it should be exciting to see where everybody is stacking up as we begin the 2022 season. So for that race, we'll have in lane 1 Craig Johnson from Canoe. In lane 2, Jack Hall from Banook. In lane 3, Brian Malfazy from Ridge. In lane 4, Pierre-Luc Poulin de Lac Beauport. In lane 5, Simon McTavish from Mississauga. In lane 6, Mitchell Barron from Burloak. Lane 7, Cameron Lowe from Balmy Beach. Lane 8, Alex Canning from Banook. And in lane 9, Laurent Lavigne de Trois-Rivières. So it'll be great to see if some of the local boys can actually push the pace here and score a great result in this K1000, as we're just looking at the athletes starting to line up.
For sure. We have some very, very strong opponents again. Some amazing athletes who have gone to the Olympic Games. Some younger athletes who haven't had that chance yet, but have the potential to make it there. So it's going to be, as always, a good race, I'm sure. I can see from the results yesterday, we had some really, really good results. Fast times for this kind of weather and this time of the year, and it's going to be a good fight until the end, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And then exciting to see if some of the post-Olympic kind of break has affected some of the bigger names, or if they're still out there pushing strong versus the younger guys that had the chance to watch them compete and got a lot of
and I think we may have gotten
a false start from the middle lanes there. In the meantime, while the athletes go back and line back up, we got the result from the men's C1 1,000 meters. So Connor Fitzpatrick did take the win in a 3:56.5, followed by Chima Craig Spence in 3:59.5, and Brett Himmelman in a 4:01.7, and Andrew Biller in a 4:02.7. Rounding up the top 5 was Alex Planter in a 4:03. So really great to see some solid results close to the 4 minutes or under for the winners, and then just great to see some good depth of the field across the men's national team.
Yeah, very impressive to see that second to fifth were all within 4 seconds for a 1,000 meter. That's a pretty close finish for sure, and that means we have a good, like you said, a very good field of athletes, and it's going to be interesting on the international scene for sure.
Yeah, and great to see too that it's right left so good combinations there for C2s and C4s. As we're looking to team up in crew boats as well at some of the international races. Yeah. So we'll have a C2 race on Thursday with a lot of these athletes coming back, but certainly some combination opportunities a little bit later with some of the athletes that are pushing the field up there.
We love to see it. A good mix of lefts and rights.
I mean, 2 lefts doesn't mean you're going slow, right, Laurent?
It doesn't certainly, but sometimes it gives a slight edge to have left and right.
Yeah.
Depending on conditions, I know from experience that, for example, Katie and I were very lucky to get a little lull in the wind during the Olympic Games because from from the right wind we had there, if we had been if it had been full on windy, it would have been really hard to finish that last race. So for sure, it's doable, and I've done it many times, and I love it. But it's always easier to have a good mixed boat from left and right. All right, the guys are getting on the line, getting ready to go again. Um, you have to make sure your focus is still there, even if there was a false start, because you cannot afford a second one. So, refocus, and I'm sure they're ready to go. We'll see
Yeah,
it
again,
in a short.
from lane 1, closest to you is Craig Johnson. Lane 2, Jack Hall. Lane 3, Brian Malfazy. Lane 4, Pierre-Luc Poulin. Lane 5, Simon McTavish. Lane 6, Mitchell Barron. Lane 7, Cameron Lowe. Lane 8, Alex Canning. And Lane 9, Laurent Lavigne. Lane 1 being closest to us here on the camera, and then Laurent being in lane 9, all the way on the left-hand side of your screen. And we got the white flags up, so the starter has the race, and it should get underway in just a second here as we get set to start the senior men's K1 1000 meter A final.
Good start from everyone. Seems like everyone was ready to go and started very strong. Um, it is neck and neck from what we can see. I guess we can say Simon seems to have had a pretty good strong start, and lane 9, Laurent Lavigne also did have a strong start. But like we said with the men's C1 earlier, this is a very long race. Nothing is won on the start, so it's going to be a fight till the end, and we can see they're ready to fight it out for sure.
Yeah, and certainly it's especially as you get ready. A lot of experience here on this line. It's an interesting mix of older athletes that have a ton of experience racing this race, and younger athletes just kind of coming up and pushing this. So good generations gap to some extent. So we'll see if someone's able to make a move and jump with the more senior athletes. But great small tailwind out there, keeping the glide with all these athletes. All about efficiency, as we talked in the men's T1 just before. And ensuring that you don't spend too much energy in the first half, but really set yourself up for a good second half and a good finish. But you got to fight your own race, as Laurent said, and not get too bothered by what everybody else is doing. But yes, looking like a good race here from the front. From the middle lanes. Pierre-Luc and Simon really looking solid, and as we're coming through the halfway point here at the 500 meter mark.
Everyone seems to have a pretty close stroke rate, so everyone, like we said, working on gliding the best they can, not burning themselves for the end of the race, because they know they're going to have to fight and push, because everyone's going to try to get that podium. So we can see it seems like Simon's still in front, and there's
the surprise might be not surprise, but Laurent having a strong first half here from lane 9. He's a fast starter, and we've seen that in the past where he goes and really hopes that it doesn't break as he tries to hold on in the second half. But strong race from those 3 senior athletes in the middle, and now it'll be a question of who can try to join them if someone starts to burn a little bit too much in the second half.
Yeah, those 3 in front right now, they are pushing, and there's going to be a really strong finish if anyone wants to get that first place.
Yeah, it looks like Brian and Simon have their rate up a little bit, and Pierre-Luc is dropping just a little bit at this point. But as we hit the 200, we'll see if someone can make a move. But looks like Brian's really trying to get at Simon here and seeing if he can pull out the win here.
Yeah, he's trying to get back. They're still not there yet. There's still a last 100 meter. They're coming to the last final 100 with the red buoys. And it seems it's really neck and neck from what we can see. it's a do or die, I guess, right now, and we'll see it soon.
Yeah, it should be
Everyone's
an
pushing
exciting
so
finish as
hard.
the camera pans out. So we'll see in just a few seconds who's able to tough it out the most. And looks like
And
Simon might fight
oh,
back, but
very.
looks like Brian may have gotten this by a nose. And
I
then
guess
Pierre-Luc
it's
and
really hard
Laurent.
to know. It's really hard to know with the line. It seems like you said, Brian got it, but with Simon giving a really strong push at the end, like the last stroke, maybe, who knows? We'll see very shortly the results. It's a really good race from everyone pushing until the end. Good job to all the athletes. It was really, really good.
Yeah, and that's what you want to see too. Some of the top in the field really pushing each other, yielding some fast times, having to go till the last stroke, really showing some depth there for some of our senior men's kayak athletes. So we'll wait for the results as this gets confirmed on who took that. Don't want to have any commentators curse here on who took the win. Just calling it as we think we saw it, but wouldn't be surprised to see the result the other way. And as we look at the
Yeah.
slow motion here, so
Yeah, it
who
seems like,
knows? I mean,
yeah. It's all about, like, the line is not exactly the buoys. So the buoys themselves, they're, they can make you mistaken, but the line is, as we can see on the tower, the big black line with the yellow parts on each side. So it's all we're not the officials on the finish line. Some people are going to make sure this race is fair and that the winner is decided.
yeah, I'm sure it'll be a nice photo finish to look at. But it looks like Brian had it up till the last stroke, and then Simon
Yeah.
just a late lunge. So it'll depend on the timing of that, and then Pierre-Luc coming in third and Laurent in fourth. There, that we know for
Exactly.
sure. But it'll be interesting to see for the top spot there, and then what that means
Yeah.
for selections purposes. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's always interesting to see such strong athletes fighting out within Canada, because it means that whenever they're going on the international scene, they're going to be strong even against other countries if they're able to fight that much within Canada. So it's fun to see, and I'm really glad to see that we've got strong athletes all throughout our team.
And we can we'll get ready here, and we'll still monitor the results and let you know as soon as they come out. But in the meantime, we'll start to get ready for the senior women's K1 500 meters, which will take place at 8:43 local time. So in about 7 minutes, or 6 or 7 minutes, we'll see some of the athletes get ready at the 500 meter mark, and we have a nice shot of Adrienne Zonglois here, just focusing and turning around and getting ready to go for her final. She'll go out of lane 6 in this final. Really stacked field of a number of athletes that would have raced at the Olympics last year. Number of athletes that would have raced at Junior World, Senior World. So everyone has international experience on this line. So it's great to see the women's program kind of having some of the, again, post-Olympic year. You have some athletes that are still there from the previous cycle, sticking around for another one, sticking around for the Worlds at home. And then also have a bunch of new athletes that are coming up, strong results at the Junior World, G2-3 Worlds, and then starting to push the senior level as well. So certainly exciting to see as they all train together in California under Coach Chad Brooks this year, and then are getting ready to see who's going to come out on top of this 500 meter this morning.
Definitely interesting to see indeed, because yesterday we had a handful of ladies who went under 2 minutes. So it's going to be interesting with a tailwind what they can do this morning, and who's going to make it first, right? So lots of very experienced women. I'd say less younger athletes for sure. This is more of a older field for women's kayak, but it's going to be very, very interesting. I cannot predict who is going to make it first for sure.
Exciting to
Interesting
see
races.
young. Yeah, for sure. Exciting to see some. I guess the newer name on this list might be Riley Melanson, that did quite well last year, qualifying for the Senior World Championships, and then Toshka Bishara from Rideau, coming off a really strong campaign in the last few years at the junior level, and then starting to really show her medal here against some of the senior athletes. So great to see some younger athletes kind of learning from these older athletes and able to compete and push them every day.
It is awesome to see for sure.
Yeah, and it looks like we have confirmation of the results for the men's K1 1000. So Brian Malfazy from Rich did take the win at 3:37.94, and then Simon McTavish coming behind him, just 0.027 behind. So at 3:37.967. So really close race. Third place was Pierre-Luc Poulain de la Copa. Fourth place, Laurent Lavigne de Trois-Rivières, and then in fifth place, Mitchell Barron from Banook. So great to see those that results in what a close finish, 0.03.
Yeah, and even between fourth and fifth place, you have a very close time of 0.3 seconds. It's still, very impressive to see that everyone's fighting and staying close until the end. I'm impressed, honestly. I'm happy to see everyone had an awesome camp with good coaches and good teammates, and it's paying off for sure. And it's impressive to see. Yeah. I don't miss it, but I would love to be there and congratulate them in person. So, all right, in lane 1, we have Anna Negalik from Masqua. Lane 2, Riley Melanson from Chima. Lane 3, Courtney Stott from Balmy Beach. Lane 4, Madeline Schmidt from Rideau. Lane 5, Michelle Russell, from Chima. Lane 6, Adrienne Langlois from Trois-Rivières. Lane 7, Toshka Beshara from Rideau, Lane 8, Alana Bray-Lahid from Burloak. And Lane 9, Natalie Davidson from Rideau. A very exciting race to be had for sure.
Yeah, really strong feel as we're getting there with about a minute to start here. So the camera will pan back out to the start line and we'll see the athletes get ready. 500 meters again. I think we'll see the winner just go just under 2 minutes or a bit more. I think Andriane yesterday scored a 1:55, so it could be pretty fast if there's a good push from everybody here. And we know there's some strong 500 meter athletes in this field, so it should be quite exciting for everyone here at home and everyone cheering at Lake Banook this morning.
Yeah,
pretty fair conditions so far. Yeah, go ahead, Lawrence.
Yeah, I was gonna say the conditions seems to be as good as they come for the Burloak Lake, with a strong tailwind. As long as it doesn't turn, we're all good. So I'm sure the athletes are enjoying to have a strong tailwind and are hoping to do. I feel like a few of them are at least hoping to do under 2 minutes. I think it's doable. They did it yesterday in the heats, and now they have a strong finish, strong final. So everyone's there to push each other, and it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. So again, closest to you in lane 1, closest to the right, I guess, Anna Negilic from Masqua, and then on the far left, lane 9, Natalie Davidson. Just for being oriented for everyone watching at home. Should be again an exciting race. We know there's some really strong starters out there. Andriane and Michelle, strong starter. Maddie, a lot of endurance coming back. So I think it'll be exciting to see the different race plans. 500 meters, you don't have as much time to really make moves. Basically one move and you pick when you want to do it. And in the 1,000, you can have a little bit more flexibility and strategy. So it will be interesting to see if any of them have changed their race plan from the last few years, or how that pans out today.
And like you said, 1,000 meter is a very strategic race, and every race is difficult. But from experience, I'd say the 500 for me was the most painful race, because it's not as much as strategic as the 1,000. It's more about just, I'd say it's survival. You give everything you have on the first half, and then you try to survive until the end, and it's basically just pain all throughout. So it's going to be interesting who's going for a strong start and who's going for more of a strong finish. And it can change so quickly. So I'm very interested to see all the different race plan we'll have. And as we can see here, we do have a starting gate, unlike the 1,000 meter. Like we said, 1,000 is longer, and we don't have all the setup to make sure that every distance has the starting gate. So they usually keep it for the shorter distance. So the 200 and the 500 meter have the racing gates. And these make sure that all the athletes, there's no false start, or at least there's no one who's advantaged from having a false start. And yeah, everyone's ready to go. It's starting very soon. Oh,
We're just getting
maybe a
lined up
false
here,
start.
and again, I think it looks like they're backing away from the line a little bit. So wonder if the gates dropped a little bit premature, or if one of them wasn't working. So they'll just back up as the start gates go back up, and then they'll come back to the line. As you see, the gates have just come back up, so I'm sure the boats will come back. So again, lane 1, Anna Negulich; lane 2, Riley Melanson; lane 3, Courtney Stott; lane 4, Madeline Schmidt; lane 5, Michelle Russell; lane 6, Andriane Langlois; lane 7, Toshka Bishara; lane 8, Alana Bray Lougheed; and in lane 9, Natalie Davison. As we get ready to get underway here in the senior women's K1 500 meter A final.
And the starter has the race with the white flag, and they're ready to go. And it's going to go very soon. All right, the start is given. We can see everyone's going really, really hard. We can see really strong strokes from the middle of the field, but everyone's giving everything they have. And it seems like the middle are, yeah, the middle lanes are really pushing each other.
Yeah, it looks like Andriane and Michelle really pushing the pace here off the line, with Toshka and Maddie coming right after them, but so early. And then we'll see if they've started a bit too hard and someone's able to make a move in the second half. But again, as you said, Laurence, the 500 is 2 minutes of pain, basically, and it's who can handle it best.
Yeah, and sometimes we've said it before with the other races, but some athletes are really strong off the line, and some athletes are really good with keeping their energy until the end of the race. So it's going to be a fight until the end, and a fight against themselves mostly, to see who's keeping up. Like we said, like Andriane and Michelle are still neck and neck, and this is not only painful, but it's also very mentally difficult to keep that kind of position, and to keep that kind of focus, even though you're so close with the person next to you.
Yeah, what a great shot at the 200 there. Looking at Michelle and Andriane neck and neck as they enter the last 100 meters of the race here in the orange buoys. So close to call at this point between those two, and then whoever can make a move here in the last 100. So we'll see when the camera comes back out and pans out who's in the lead at this point and who's taken this win. But exciting race here, as looks like Michelle might be a small nose ahead, taking it from Andriane, but so close here for third, fourth, and fifth between a number of these athletes.
Such a good fight, and if people have never done a 500 meter race, I can assure you right now they are in pain. It is so difficult to finish a 500 meter and give it everything you've got. And as we saw, we have had really strong ladies. They went all out. They kept pushing until the end and fighting it. And like you said, Michelle got it first. We'll have the confirmation of their time soon, but Michelle came first, Andriane second. Seems like Andriane was really happy with her race. I saw a fist bump in the air. I hope everyone was happy and satisfied with their performance today. It was amazing.
Yeah, certainly very close for fourth place there between I believe it was Riley Melanson and Natalie. So we'll have to wait and see how that panned out in the results. But we'll wait for confirmation of those and let you know as soon as they come in. In terms of looking ahead, so that concludes the block of A finals that we had this morning. And what will be coming for you are the B finals for the same races that we had this morning. So the senior women's C1 200 will kick off at 8:58, so in 8 short minutes, followed by the senior men's C1 1,000-meter B final, the senior men's K1 B final, followed by the C final of the same event, and the D final of that event. And then after that, we'll round the morning with some of the women's K1 B final, C final, and D final. And our last race of the morning will be the Para 200-meter second final, so a repeat of yesterday. So they have a 2 out of 3. They have 2 finals here as part of their selection. So exciting morning still to come for a number of these athletes. And we do have the results confirmed here. So it looks like Michelle Russell took the win here in a 1:55.949, followed by Andriane Langlois in a 1:56.3, Madeline Schmidt in a 1:57.98. Natalie Davison did edge out Riley Melanson by 0.0, well, not much, basically 0.03.
Oh, wow.
So very, very close between those two athletes. Then Toshka Bishara coming in 6th, Alana in 7th, Courtney in 8th, and Anna Negulish coming in 9th. All athletes either 2 minutes or under in this final.
Yeah, and very, very impressive from everyone. Not only the very experienced athlete who went to the Olympic Games, but also the really young ones. And it's just so good to see everyone so close, and also all at least 2 minutes or under. We saw only in the heats yesterday, we saw only a handful of them who made it under 2 minutes, and to see that in the final everyone did 2 or less, it's really, really good to see. Very impressive times from Michelle and Andriane and everyone else. Congratulations to all the girls. It was a strong race for sure.
Yeah, certainly a strong set of A finals this morning from all the senior athletes that we saw racing. That will set them up for selection for multiple events this summer, part of their national team selection as well for karting and funding, and also just a good starting point for everybody to build on, knowing where they currently rank. Great. So it looks like we have a nice shot here of some of the athletes cooling down. So I think Alana and I think it was Toshka just turning. So great to see everybody just making sure they flush out some of the lactate before they get ready to. The women actually have another set of 500-meter races. They're racing the 500 twice this weekend. So certainly this is a good set. It's a good setup for the rest of the weekend. We get to see Anna Negulish here just cooling down from lane 1 from her race in this A final. In just a short time, we'll go to the B final of the women's C1 200. 4 athletes getting ready to go in this race. So we'll have Abigail Campbell, Jaden Kenziora, Tegan Tyrell, and Emma Yule racing for top spot here in the B final, 10th place at these national team trials.
And I'm sure we're going to see them very soon, very shortly, because right now we're not focused on the 200-meter race. We have the chance to see Anna doing her cool down, like you said. But soon, I guess we'll go back to the 200-meter and see the girls getting ready for this race. Younger names that are younger athletes on the starting line for the B final, but I'm sure we're going to see something interesting. It's always fun to see younger athletes doing well, and I'm curious to see how they're going to do, and are they going to be satisfied from this race. And I can.
Certainly.
It's fun. Also, I want to point out it still seems like it's a pretty strong tailwind, and if I was out there, I think I'd be happy. I'd be happy with those conditions. Would you?
Yeah, I think so. It looks like it's coming a little bit from the right, so not sure if that impacted a little bit of the race earlier, especially for the canoers. But it looks
Oh
fairly
yeah.
straight overall. So certainly, I prefer tailwinds over headwinds. So we'll see if that sticks. I think for this afternoon, it's supposed to turn to a bit of a headwind. So that means that at some point the wind will have to come from the side. We'll hope that comes during a break, but it's not supposed to be crazy windy today, especially for the spring. It can be quite bad out there sometimes, as we all know. But yeah, so far still quite fair and good to see some good conditions for the finals this morning.
Yeah.
We can see some of the men's canoe athletes for the B final just making their way up to the 1,000 meter. As we're about to get underway here in the set of the B
Oh,
final, as we can see the draw here for the B final.
yeah.
Laurence, do you want to go through some of these athletes?
Sure, I'll go ahead. So in lane 3 from Sakawa, we have Abigail Campbell. In lane 4 from Moscow, we have Jaden Kendiora. And lane 5 from Mississauga, we have Tegan Tyrell. And in lane 6 from Sakawa, also, we have Emma Yule. Like I said, for younger athletes, but for sure, younger athletes to be looked at, and it's going to be a interesting race, fun. I always I remember when I started, and there were usually never any B final. There was always only one heat or direct final, basically. And seeing that there's enough women that are good to make not only a strong A final but also a B final is always very heartwarming to me. And so we see the girls getting ready and focusing right now to get on this starting line. Yes. I'm sure they're very nervous right now, but they have to remember this is their race. They have to not. It's always not about not thinking about the other people. You know, it might be someone from your club that's against you, or it might be someone from another country. You always have to focus on what you are doing and what you're planning to do as a race. And this is always difficult, but it's a good exercise.
Yeah. So once again, from starting from the right, moving to the left in lane 3, Abigail Campbell. In lane 4, Jaden Kenziora. In lane 5, Tegan Tyrell. And in lane 6, Emma Yule. So it should be a great race here from these athletes as they just make their way to the 200-meter start gates. And we'll get started in the next minute or so. Once again, this is the senior women's C1 B final for the 200-meter distance. A lot of these athletes will be back this afternoon in the C1 to race 500, if I'm not mistaken, and then C2 500 a little bit later this week. So busy week. Sorry, it's not a weekend, which is weird to say, but busy week for these athletes over the 4 days that they're competing here on Lake Banook.
And we say during the afternoon, but these ladies, they're going back on the water at 11:30 for a 500 meter for their 500 meter race, and so they have to, be aware that later today they'll have to do the 500. So they have to give everything they have right now, but also make sure they have enough later, which it's pretty close by. It's already 9 and it's 2.5 hours. So they're on the starting line, ready to hash it out. And there we go.
There we go.
Pretty good start. And it's very
strong.
close. No.
Yeah, really
like
high
no one's
stroke rate from Jaden here. Short, fast strokes versus some of these other athletes that have a bit of a longer stroke, slower stroke rate. So different tactics as we go through, and different body types, I think, for a number of these athletes as they're still quite young. I think there might be some life jackets out there.
Well, life jackets don't mean anything. It's all about the potential and how good you are on the line and in the race. So it seems, I from here it's hard to say, but it seems like it is okay. It seems like Tegan and then Jaden made it first and second, but we saw the other two, Emma and Abigail, gave it everything they had until the end. So, congratulations to the girls. It was a good race.
Yeah, certainly great way to start the set of B finals that we have this morning. As we get underway, there is a bit of a break before we get to the senior men's C1 1,000 meter. That one will take place at 9:13. So about 13 minutes from now, as you see the athletes kind of just making their way up in the C1 and then in the K1 after. But we get to see here the closing strokes of this race and really seeing Tegan. Nice finish there, really powerful strokes, nice shoot of her boat to cross the line, and close finish here for third place between the two Sakawa athletes.
Yeah, quite impressive to see. Like you said, our second place here had a life jacket. So it's like you said, not about the age, really about the performance and how strong of an athlete they are. And it's something that I've seen improve so much in the years during my career. When I started women's, we were really not taken charge of when we were young, and now I can see so many younger athletes, even like you said, life jackets, being able and being able to do so good, so well, and it's impressive to me, and I'm glad to see so much progress from within my sport.
No, for sure, and it'll be really exciting as we move to the second set of trials and selections for Junior Worlds, and some of a broader set of athletes will come to Montreal in June. So we should see a lot more heats, a lot more variety, more athletes from different clubs. So certainly these trials are very, very focused on performance, as you mentioned, selecting for seniors and all that. But as we move towards the rest of the summer and looking at selecting for other competition, we'll certainly see a lot more athletes start to line up for those races, and that should be a great time for the sport as we get to see who the new names will be in the next few years. In the meantime, we did get the results here for the B final of the senior women's C1. So we got confirmation that Tegan Tyrell from Mississauga did take the win in a 54.5. In second place was Jaden Kenziora from Masqua in 55.2. Third place, Sakawa's Emma Ewell in a 59.8. And then in fourth place, Abigail Campbell from Sakawa as well in a 1 minute 0.5. So strong result here for some of these athletes as we're seeing some of the progression here in the B final. And now they'll go and rest, as you said, Laurence, and get 2 hours to refocus, get ready for 500 meters in a big tailwind, hopefully, and get ready for just over 2 minutes, or just a little bit more than 2 minutes of pain as they're going through, and then a bit of a different race plan.
Yeah. And as we were just seeing, there were some men's C1 going for their B final, battling up to the line and focusing, making sure they're physically ready. Like I said earlier, it's very cold, so they have to make sure their arms and legs and everything is ready to go so that it doesn't cramp, because I don't know if you've had the chance to paddle on this kind of weather, but I remember at one particular practice where none of us still had hands at the end of the practice because it was so cold. And so these athletes, they have to not only warm up, but make sure they're ready to race. And we're also seeing men's K1 going up for his own race, and I cannot see the number. Is that Jordan?
Yeah,
Oh,
I think
it
that
seems
might
like
be
to
Pierre cooling
place,
down from the A final this morning, if I'm not mistaken, or
or
someone else. But
or
yeah,
maybe Vincent Jourdain, I believe.
oh, there you go. Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, we have a number of athletes getting ready. Again, we'll have the senior men's C1 1000 A final. So we see Craig from the A final wishing good luck to someone in the B final just now, if I'm not mistaken. And then these
Yeah.
athletes will get ready and refocus for their 500 that they have a little bit later. And then right now we'll have the men's C1 1000 meter B final starting in about 10 minutes. Then followed by that will be the men's K1 1000 meter B final and C final. And then after that, we will get the senior women's K1 500 B final, C final, and D final before the last final of this morning block, which will be the Parava, pardon me, 200 meter final two. A repeat from yesterday, so that they have two finals as part of their selection. So we'll get to see Brianna Hennessy, Erica Scarf, Yves Bourque, Mathieu Saint-Pierre, Jacob Woods, and Benjamin Brown take the start line again at 10:14 Atlantic time.
So the race is going to be within the next 8 minutes. We'll see some athletes that, although they're doing the B final, they're strong contenders and just couldn't make the A final, but doesn't mean they're not any less strong than the others. And we'll see a few, like I see a lot of names from within the Dartmouth region, and good athletes for sure. Halifax and Dartmouth, sorry. Good athletes that have the chance because the trials are in their hometown, so it's easier for them to do it. It's not like they had to travel hours away to go and give it a chance. So it's always fun for athletes to be able to have a competition within their region.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then I think we see that across the board in the different events. Certainly, if you're kind of on the cusp of deciding if you should or shouldn't, this is a good opportunity when it's at home. And as you go a little bit later into the summer, we'll see more athletes attend the trials because they'll have something to compete for a little bit. Obviously, the World Cup teams and the World Championship teams are pretty small teams, so not everyone here will make those. So it's a good race experience and it's close to you, and if you have the right level. But certainly for folks that are less likely to make those teams, the investment to come from BC or come from all over the country is a little bit higher to take part in this event. So they'll save some of that and attend the second set of trials or the national championships a little bit later this summer. So
Yeah.
it'll be great
And
to see kind of the progression of some of those athletes over the summer.
Yeah, and you said the second set of trials will be happening in June in Montreal, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, towards the
And
back end of June.
yeah, and so these trials, like you said, there's going to be athletes from all over because these will be qualifying for all the other competitions aside from the senior World Cups and World Championships competitions, right? So
Yeah.
the second set of trials is more going to be focused towards the general Canadian canoe kayak team. So it's going to be very interesting to see all the athletes, all the younger ones, and less of the senior athletes because the senior athletes are all mostly here today. But we're going to have a lot wider field in June compared to this competition here.
Yes, for sure, and that makes it really exciting. There's races within races and all of that, so certainly complicated from a selection standpoint, but great to see junior athletes racing seniors, under 23 athletes getting selected. If you're just joining us from everywhere in Canada, cheering on some of the athletes this morning at the national team trials, you're looking at Lake Banook at a cold 3 degrees. Feels like one sunny out there, but and a short wind of 5 kilometers an hour from the northeast, which on Lake Banook can look a little bit worse than it is, but nice straight tailwind or slightly right tail for now, with some gusts. But so far, pretty fair racing conditions. We're expecting the temperature to go up to about 12 degrees a little bit later today. But it might look like the wind has started to turn a little bit, and we're seeing a little bit more of a right wind for what the event that's going to get underway in just a minute, the men's C1 1,000 meter B final. We had the chance to watch the A final a little bit earlier today. So in lane 1 for this B final, we'll have Jack McNeil from Sakawa. In lane 2, Aidan Martel from Masqua. In lane 3, Edgar Desi du Lac Beauport. In lane 4, Austin Pigeon from South Niagara. In lane 5, Nick Baird from Sonobe. Lane 6, Alex Neves from Masqua, pardon me. Lane 7, Seamus Cote-Moss from Masqua. And in lane 8, Matthew McDonald from Sakawa. So again, strong representation from the athletes from Nova Scotia, given these trials are close to home, and a few athletes from Ontario and Quebec as well, lining up this morning for the B final. So we have about 3 minutes to the start for this B final in the senior men's 1,000. Fast times in the A final earlier. Connor Fitzpatrick taking the win in a 3:56. So it'll be good to see where the winner of this final kind of ranks versus the competitors in the A final. Even though there's a bit of condition change and everything, it's still great to kind of be able to see where would I have been if I had made it through. So I know athletes tend to look a little bit at that, even though it doesn't quite matter, but it's a good boost for the morale.
Yeah. And as all the other B, C, D finals, these athletes don't have much time between this race and their later heats that are starting around the second wave of heats starts around 11:30. So these athletes here will have again about 2 hour and a half between this race and their next race. So and their next race is also a 500 meter. This one is 1,000. So it's about, I don't know, we might see some athletes who decide to conserve some energy for their later race today. And we might see some athletes who just decide to go all out and give everything they have until the end. So it seems like they're getting ready to get on the line and go for it. 1,000 meter is a long race, and they'll just keep pushing until the end. All right, so in lane 1 we have, sorry, let me get it out. Okay, so in lane 1 we have from Sakawa, Jack McNeil. In lane 2 from Masqua, Aidan Martel. In lane 3 from Lac Beauport we have Edgar Desi. In lane 4 from South Niagara we have Austin Pigeon. In lane 5 from Sonobe we have Nick Baird. In lane 6 from Masqua we have Alex Neves. In lane 7 from Masqua we have Seamus Cote-Moss. And from Sakawa in lane 8 we have Matthew McDonald. They're getting on the racing line, getting ready, and soon we'll have the judge. They just called that the race is going to start very shortly, and everyone's ready to do this race. And sorry.
Yeah, it should be an exciting one here for the B final as we get underway. Again, Jack McNeil closest to us on the camera side, and Matthew McDonald on the far side in the blue boat. So just getting underway here, you'll see some athletes really get a good start, especially I think the blue boat in the middle there. So lane 3, if I'm not mistaken, Edgar just really going for it here, taking out a bit of a lead off the line here from all the other athletes. So it should be exciting to see what happens in the second half of this race as he goes. But really good glide from Edgar here as he's stretching it out and entering the second 100 meter of this race.
Everyone, we can see really good strokes from all of them. It's like we talked about earlier. This is about energy conservation, and also remembering that they have another race pretty shortly after. So some of them might, try to go for the podium. Some of them might decide that this is just a kind of warm up for later today. I guess we'll see. Like you said, lane 3 had a really good start, Edgar, but the others are surely not far behind, and we'll see. Maybe someone will decide to go for it for the second half. From this point of view, it's really hard to see who's in front. Seems like maybe lane lane four.
It looks to
Maybe
be
lane
between
four.
3, 4, and 5. Yeah, these three athletes
Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
the middle. So Edgar, Austin, and Nick seem to be pushing the pace a little bit from each representing their province here as we go. Quebec, Nova Scotia, and Ontario. So it should be a really good race in the second half here as we come through and approach the 500. All left, so the wind actually doesn't make much of an impact on any of them. But it looks like Edgar still has the lead here after 500 meters. Looks to be about a boat on Austin, and then Nick coming in third. Strong race from lane 7, sorry, as well. Seamus Cotemas, who's currently sitting in fourth, it appears, and really pushing the pace here. But we'll see if these athletes can keep up the pace, the tempo, and the efficiency here in the second half, as we often see stroke rates start to drop and athletes get really tired and the efficiency start to go. But Edgar just keeping
Yeah.
in lead here and even extending a little bit, it looks like.
Yeah, you have to focus at this point of the race. You really have to focus on how you're battling, because it's easy with the lactate acid to just shorten your stroke and have a difficult time keeping up. And so you have to really focus long strokes, power strokes, and also making sure you have a good glide. And it seems like Edgar and Nick are doing a really really good job at it. Uh, or wait, yeah. No, Edgar and Austin. I'm
Austin in
sorry.
the middle, yeah, exactly. From South Niagara. Had a really strong performance at Nationals last year, and then
Yeah.
really trying to pick up the rake here and try to make
Oh
a
yeah.
move on Edgar, who's long, powerful strokes, as you can see, just staying light, keeping the glide, and
Yeah.
keeping the race under control. But certainly it doesn't look like Austin wants to make this easy for him as he's trying to close in the last 200 meters.
Definitely not. But also, it's Edgar is in a really good spot right now because he gets to kind of decide if he goes or not. And as long as Austin doesn't catch up, he has the leeway to just paddle strong, but not like kill it until the end. So I mean, it's a really good race. Impressive that they're fighting out this well until the end, even with a full day of racing after this.
Yeah, great to
So
see
it
that people
seems,
trying to come for this spot, and again, great clean race here from Edgar, closing the
Edgar,
win here and for 10th
yeah,
place at
from
these
start,
trials in the 1,000. Yeah.
yeah, from start to finish, Edgar really had it under control. Really good and efficient race. Just he really kept the control throughout the race, and it's impressive. And
Yeah,
strong
and
finish from the others.
as
Lane
we
five
typically
and
see in
two.
these
Yeah,
B
lane five
finals.
and two. So Nick and Aiden coming third and fourth, and yeah, just it's not finished. There are still athletes finishing behind, but it's all about knowing when to go. They know they have other races today, and it's not stressful for them if they decided that they want to conserve more energy. It's okay. It's just it's all about strategy. So there we have lane 9, no, lane 8. Yeah,
Yeah,
lane
lane 8.
8. So Matthew McDonald, and coming in lane 1 we have Jack McNeil. So congratulations to all the athletes. We we will have in 3 minutes. We have the senior men's K1000 B final. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's not uncommon, right, Laurence, to see in B finals a little bit more of a space between the athletes. Obviously, in the A final, everyone's close. It was a very tough final to make, and in the B final, especially when they aren't full, we'll see different levels as across the athletes. Some that were very close to the A final level, and some that are they're more for experience and getting a good race under their belt, especially this early in the season. So a bit more of a
Yeah.
wide-ranging set of outcomes typically in B and C finals as we go.
Yeah, and like we said earlier, these are athletes that have the chance to have national trials in their hometown, so they have the chance to try it. They don't have to go all across Canada to try doing this. So it's also a lot of good experience for them to go and race against senior athletes from the national team. And so here
Yeah,
we have the athletes on the start line for the men's K1000 senior B final. In lane 1 from Banook, we have Cole Parson. Lane 2 from Rideau, Alexander Ofrek. Lane 3 from Balmy Beach. Wait, yeah, Lucas Stein. Lane 4 from Richmond Hill, we have Alexander Ivanov. Lane 5 from Banook, we have Ian Goddard. In lane 6 from Richmond Hill, we have David Stewart. Lane 7 from Trois-Rivières, we have Vincent Jourdanet. Lane 8 from Carleton Place, we have Aidan Dumont. And lane 9 from Chima, we have Keaton Brown. And the race has started. And strong start from everyone.
Knowing there's a C final in this one, again, these athletes will likely push a lot more, and just making sure that they're trying to take the top spot here for 10th overall at these trials. I know they still have a lot of racing, but there's a bit of pride on the line here, given a lot of these athletes are from the same club or the same region. So I know a lot of them want to show that they should have been in this A final, and then I want to get a good 1,000-meter under their belt.
Yeah, we have, yeah, like you said, these athletes are athletes who barely did not make the A final. And so they're all very, very strong within their field. And we're going to see a strong race until the end. There's a lot of amazing athletes on the start line. And so it seems from this point of view, it's really hard to see who's in front, but it seems like lane 5, 6, and 7 maybe seem pretty strong, doing well. We have in lane 5 Ian Goddard, and 6 David Stewart, and lane 7 Vincent Jourdanet. It's hard to see in the first few lanes how everyone's doing, but it seems like the athletes are really going at it for now.
Yeah, really strong race here from the middle. It looks like Vincent is having a strong first half here, but don't count out some of the athletes in the closer lanes to us too. But strong race by Vincent here, who just missed out on the A final yesterday in his semis. So sure he wants to be out there, having competed at the Olympics last year in the K2, and really wants to just get this 1,000-meter done and then move on to the 500. But you can see some of the athletes in the middle here. Ian Godet from Banook really starting to challenge him a little bit in the second half.
And it's difficult to see because we right now only see athletes further, but I'm sure the lane closer to us, yeah, like we said earlier, it seems like they're all very close. They're all very close. They're there, and they're, I'm sure, going to fight it until the end. There's no one. I don't think anyone's going to try to conserve energy for this race because they have some. I feel like they have something to prove, right? They wanted to be A final, now they're B final, and they want to be the first in the B final at least. So yeah, strong athletes. Vincent still in lead in lane 7 with lane 6, David Stewart very close by. And the third spot right now is a fight between lane 5, Ian Godet, and lane 8, I believe.
And it looks like Ian Godet has just picked up his stroke rate as well and is trying to make a move on Vincent. So we'll see if he's able to close that out, as Vincent looks like he's tightening up a little bit and the stroke rate's dropping down. And we'll see if he just started a bit too hard as we come to the finish here. Yeah, it looks like it was.
Wow,
Godette was
such a
really,
strong
really pulling a
finish.
strong 200 at the end. Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. This is why we say 1,000 is never won until the end, right? So it's all about strategy and keeping until the end. If you have your race plan in your mind, you have to focus on it, and seems like that's exactly what Ian did today. Um, and he finished really, really strong in the last 250 and got first. Oh yeah,
Yeah, really strong
super strong
finish
finish
here.
from Ian. Yeah, and
Great to
then
see a
second
win
place
on
for
the home lake too. Yeah.
yeah, and second place from Vincent Jourdain, and third from Aidan Dumont. It's an amazing race, you know. It's never won until the end. Impressive. Seems like the C final for the thousand men's K 1,000 meter will be in a short 4 minutes, and we still don't have the official results for this one, but um, it's just always, athletes they're impressive. They're really, really, really impressive. These athletes. It's not easy to finish such a tough race in such good, powerful strokes, and yeah. Sorry, I'm speechless. This was a really impressive race, really good race.
Yeah, it's certainly a good performance from all these athletes here in the K1B final. Well, as Laurent said, we'll get underway in just a few minutes here for the C final in about 3 minutes time. And again, athletes from a number of provinces coming in to line up here as we're rounding up the men's K1 and 1,000 meter, and as we await the results from the B final. So we should be able to share that with you when that becomes available. And nice shot here of I believe Nick Barrett just cooling down after his B final in the C1 1,000 meter. Um, which and again, as Laurent said earlier, if you're just joining us, we're finishing up the 1,000 meter finals for the men this morning, and the 500 meter final for the women's kayak a little bit later. And then all these athletes will come back a little bit later this morning, I guess, starting at 11:30, and then racing this afternoon for heats and semis of their second single events, whether that's a 500 or a 200 or depending on the event. So it'll be a good long day of preparation for these trials as they get ready for tomorrow's finals and Thursday's crew boat finals in this 4-day event on Lake Banook here, the site of the Canoe 22 Sprint World Championship. So great to get some experience on the course for a number of these athletes, and we can see the start line now at the 1,000 meter mark, where the athletes are starting to line up for the men's K1 C final. In lane 1, we'll have Eli Nolan from Cenobi. In lane 2, Jérôme Desrosiers MacArthur, the Lac Beauport. In lane 3, Raphaël Côté du Lac Beauport. In lane 4, Mathieu Gilbert de Trois-Rivières. In lane 5, Jérémy Gagnon de Lac Beauport. In lane 6, Justin Lavigne de Pointe-Claire. In lane 7, Alex Erith Elwood from Cenobi. In lane 8, Nathan Coney de Trois-Rivières, and in lane 9, Devin Joy from Chima. So strong Quebec representation in this race. All these guys know each other. They would have raced against each other coming up in what used to be Bantam and midget, but U14, 16, and all of that, and getting ready to race here at the senior level. So it'll be great to see a bit of rivalry between the clubs as well in this C final of the 1,000 meter. So Eli is
And
closest to you on the right, and then Devin farthest on the left-hand side if you're trying to orient yourself for lanes.
and although a lot of they're all newer athletes, like younger athletes, and names we haven't always seen, they're all really good. Lots of potential in this field, and yeah, it's a good start. Seems like lane 2 really went for it and got a head start on the others. So lane 2 from Lac Beauport, Jérôme Desrosiers MacArthur. Uh, it's like we've said many times, it's not about the start, but this is a very impressive start from these athletes. This 1,000 meter is going to be difficult for sure. They're going to fight it out over all the 250s, and hard to say from here who's in front, but everyone seems to have strong strokes, good glide, and keeping up their energy because they know it's a long one to finish, and they don't want to burn themselves out in the start.
Yeah, so really strong start for a number of these athletes. As you can see, they're closing out their first 250. The big orange buoys at the left-hand side of the screen are the 500. So they're just approaching the 400-meter mark very shortly. Again, long race, just under 4 minutes for a number of these athletes, or under 350. So it's a long way, a lot of strategy at play, but really what's crucial here is keeping your efficiency, making sure that you focus on your race, staying technically strong, and then ensuring that you don't get bothered by what other people are doing, but focusing on your race and your race plan so that you can deliver your best performance. So great to see these athletes come down the course and really starting to pick up their rate as they're entering the second half of the race here. We typically see a number of these athletes just do a bit of a pickup as they approach the 500, either before or after, but just closing 2 minutes here in this race, and as they're approaching 400 meters to go. Looks like it's a bit of a battle on the far side. Again, lane 6 to 9, and then a few of these athletes, but really close field for the win here. So we'll see who has the best second half that can take this win this morning.
I'd say so far this is one of the closest race we've had at this point of the race. We're at the about 600 or 700 meter mark, and very close from all of the athletes. We have lane 2, lane 4, lane 6 and 7. All of them are very close and fighting out. Seems like right now it's mostly a fight between lane 4, Mathieu Gilbert, and lane 6, Justin Lavigne, but it's anyone's race, truly. It seems like lane 2 is still there, very strong, and it's going to be about who's picking up until the end. Right now, Justin Lavigne, lane 2, Jérôme is picking up a lot. Is it going to be enough to get on the first step of the podium? But everyone,
really
we
strong
can see
finish here as they enter the last 100 meters. So again, we typically look for who's able to raise their stroke rate at this point. Shows they saved a little bit of energy. So looks like Justin Lavigne might have a little bit of the edge here as we're coming to the last few strokes of this race. But really strong race for second here as we're coming through, and and strong push from the outside. There we go.
Yeah. So it seems like we have Justin Lavigne in first place, Mathieu Gilbert in second place, and then third and fourth were between Alex-Éric Elwood and lane 2, Jérôme Desrosiers MacArthur.
So we'll wait for the results to confirm and give you the times when we do have access to those. In the meantime, I think the results for the B final are probably out now if we haven't shared those with you at this stage.
Yes,
but
yes, they are.
In the B final, we do have confirmation that Ian Godet did win in a 3:45.5, followed by Vincent Jourdanet in 3:47, Aidan Dumont in a 3:48, and then Lucas Stein in a 3:50, and Albanov 3:50.3. So very close between fourth and fifth, 0.016 between those two athletes. And again, close racing here in the C final as well, as you can see on your screen for some of the middle placing of this final.
Yeah, and even the 8th and 9th place in this race we saw on the finish were very close. It's very strong field, like you've talked before of the depth of field from different disciplines, but men's kayak is a very strong discipline. all throughout. All the guys from the A final all the way to the C final, all of them are really doing well, and we see a lot of potential to be had for the next Olympics.
Yeah, and we're also able to share the results of the B final of the men's C1 1,000 meter. I don't think we've shared those with you yet. So Edgar did take the win in a 4:09.2. So strong result from Edgar here from Lac Beauport. Austin Pigeon from South Niagara, second place in 4:12. Nick Barrett, third place from Sonobe in 4:28.6. And then Masqua's two athletes, so Aiden Martel, 4:29.9, and then Seamus Cotemas in 4:31.1. So great to see some local athletes, Sonobe, Masqua, also getting some strong racing here in the B final of the men's C1. So I believe the men's K1 D final was I think it may have been taken out of the program, but we'll see if athletes are up there or
Yeah.
not. I think there might have been
Yeah,
some scratches, if I'm not mistaken. So
yeah. On the CKC app for the starting lanes, it seems their names have both been scratched, but we will see. You know, if they're there, the race. Well, actually, the race would have happened
yeah, so
a
I,
minute
I think
ago.
that race has been scratched. So we are a bit on a break until 9:49 local time. So 8:49 Atlantic, sorry Eastern, for the B final of the women's K1 500 meters. Following that, we'll have at 9:54 the C final of the women's K1 500 meters, which will be the last race that I will be commenting with you because I have to drop at 10. But Laurence can stay on a little bit to cover the last two races. The D final of the women's K1 and then the second final of the Para Va 200 meter at 10:14 local time, and that will end our broadcast this morning before things come back for some more finals tomorrow as part of the third day of the trials. So still some exciting races to come. Stick with us. Coming back at 9:49 local time for the B final of the senior women's K1 500 meters. So that's about 13 minutes from now.
camera 2 back up.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to the national team trials here on Lake Banook for Sprint Canoe Kayak. We are about to get underway here for the B final and the C final and the D final of the women's K1 500 meters. The last B and C and D final of our block this morning before the Para Va final 2. Which will conclude our block at 10:14 this morning. So we've had a chance to see a lot of exciting races so far, A finals, some winners in some of the Olympic distances, and some B finals already. So I'm looking forward to concluding this block before athletes go back to the heats and semifinals this afternoon. If you're just joining us, nice day here in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, about 3 or 4 degrees, sunny. Light northeast wind, so small to medium tailwind depending where you are on the course, with some gusts as we're going through, but fairly fair conditions out there for racing. We got to see some fast times this morning, considering the conditions and the fact that the water is quite cold from a number of these athletes taking the win in some of the early races. So Katie Vincent taking the win in the women's C1. Connor Fitzpatrick taking the win in the men's C1. And then we had the chance to watch Brian Malfazy narrowly beat Simon McTavish in the men's K1. And then Michelle Russell take the win in the women's K1 at 500 meters. So exciting races this morning in the A final. And we're just about to get ready in about 5 minutes time here for the B final of the senior women's K1 500 meters. I was joined this morning by Laurence Vincent Lapointe throughout the broadcast. She'll be joining us again for these finals in just a few minutes as we're set to get ready for the last little block of our coverage this morning. Again, nice weather. Big thank you to all the volunteers that are making this event possible. You'll see a number of them on the water in boats through the start system, operating the camera like we just saw. And just supporting the athletes around with safety and a number of things, given it's quite cold out there. So great to see, and thank you for all of you.
So it seems we can see the women's kayak getting ready for their 500-meter B final. In the lane 1, we have Haley Plant from Balmy Beach. Lane 2, we have Alexa Irvin from Musqueam. Lane 3, we have Grace Webby from Micmac. Lane 4, we have Sarah Nagy from Richmond Hill. Lane 5, Maren Bradley from Rideau. Lane 6, Madison McKenzie from Lac Beauport. Lane 7, Jessica Hogg from Cenobi. Lane 8, Lily Berthe from Cenobi. And Lane 9, Lucy McLeod from Micmac. All these women, all these ladies are all ladies who had to fight really, really hard during their heats, and sadly didn't make it for the A final, but they were all so close to make the A final. They're in the B final, and they'll be killing it today for sure. Strong ladies, and it's going to be a very strong race and interesting race to watch.
Yeah, and we saw in the A final earlier from the women's K1 some fast times. The entire field, 2 minutes or under. So it'll be interesting to see where these athletes stack up compared to that. It looks like the wind may have. It's a little bit flatter, it seems, out there. A little bit less waves than we would have seen about an hour ago. So might be a bit faster or just calmer out there for everyone to race. So good fair conditions across the board, which is what we want to see. Should be exciting. An exciting race coming for you live here from Lake Banook this morning for the B final of the women's K1 500 meters.
And like you mentioned, as long as it's not a side wind, everyone's happy. But it's also easier to control if there's less wind altogether. So these ladies maybe might not have the fastest conditions, but they have very fair and very nice conditions for all of them, with less wind, less side, less tail, just less wind altogether. It's good. It's good for good performance and to feel very strong and powerful within your boat. It's better to have less wind and just feel the water rather than being pushed by the wind. And so we see our ladies getting on the line. They're coming to their race, which is going to be very, very shortly. It is going to be in 2 minutes. And so these ladies, they're all from all over. There's from some from Quebec, from Ontario, and from Nova Scotia. So it's going to be interesting. It's an interesting race with ladies that I've gone for international competitions before, and these ladies are, I'm sure, ready to fight until the end and see who is going to make it on this podium. And so, lane 1, we have, again, from Balmy Beach, Haley Plant. Lane 2, from Masqua, we have Alexa Irvin. Lane 3, from Micmac, we have Grace Webby. Lane 4, from Richmond Hill, we have Sarah Nagy. Lane 5, from Rideau, we have Maren Bradley. Lane 6, from Lac-Beauport, we have Madison McKenzie. Lane 7, from Cenobi, we have Jessica Hogg. Lane 8, from Cenobi, Lily Baert. And lane 9, from Micmac, Lucy McLeod. And
again, and this is the first set of the 500. These athletes will go back this afternoon to race heats and semis of the 5 again. So the first event that they have to go through. So here we go. Strong start here from all these athletes in the 500 meter B final. Across the board, looks to be a fair start and then quite even as we're going through.
We might have in lane 6 and 5 and 2 pretty close race. Yeah, so lane 6, Madison McKenzie, and lane 3, sorry, we have Grace Webby from Micmac. And so it's going to be, 500 is all about do or die, and so first half is painful, second half is worse. It's going to be who can survive the longest. And it seems like lane 5 also, Maren Bradley is pushing really hard here. Yeah.
As we're approaching the 200-meter mark here with the big buoys, looks like it is Maren Bradley and Maddie McKenzie stretching the lead out here in this first half of the race.
Yeah, still fighting it out with Madison McKenzie. Until the end, right? So they just passed the 250 and the 100 is already coming up very shortly, and we're probably going to see people try to accelerate the stroke rate. And like you said earlier, this is going to be this is going to make who wins or who gets first or who doesn't. So we can see everyone's really doing a strong finish. Yeah. Strong finish from all the contenders. I'd say it seems like Maren Bradley still seems, she's taking first, and then Madison McKenzie second, and then third and fourth, pretty close between lane 7, Jessica Hogg, and lane 4, Sarah Nagy. And yeah, very, very strong race from everyone. Congratulations.
Yeah, strong race here from Marion Bradley. We have a nice shot of her here, and Maddie Mackenzie, who trained in Europe this winter, went to Spain and France and trained with a few of her friend and international teams there. So different route than a number of the Canadian athletes that would have trained in California or with their clubs all over the south of the U.S. or in Portugal. So great to see the international community helping out some of our Canadian athletes. But great race here by all these women in the B final. It'll be exciting to see the times as we get ready, but very strong performance by Marin, who just controlled the race from the start and kept her stroke rate really high. So we can see her here just closing in, keeping really strong, not shortening her stroke. Maddie shooting a little bit early and very close for third place, but it does look like lane 7 might have kept that out, and too close to call between Alexa and Grace for that 5th or 6th position. So great race here from all these women in the B final.
Yeah, and like it's an impressive race because we saw some strong starts, but also Maddie and Marin kept it up until the end, and that's what matters. It's about the whole race. It's not about one part or another. So just impressive to see.
Yep, and we'll get ready to go in a few minutes with the C final of the women's K1 500 meters. That will take place in about 2 minutes from now. Again, really strong field, a lot of younger athletes from all over the country, really kind of putting their mark on where they rank in the senior kind of list of athletes and where they're at this stage of the competition. So it'll be great to see where they're at, and then it will set up their second 500 meter, which basically round of events, which will take place this afternoon, and the final tomorrow morning. So the great thing about women's kayak, I guess, is you get to race 500 twice now, as that's the Olympic distance. And we do look at the start line here, or the lane assignment, sorry, for the C final of the 500. So Marie-Pierre from La Chine in lane 1, pardon me. Anna Mbongo from racing for Sonobe, but originally from Pointe Claire. Brooklyn Woodhouse from Richmond Hill. Olivia Dedman in lane 4 from Micmac. Charlotte Bray de la Chine in lane 5. Samantha Stein from Balmy Beach in lane 6. Anna O'Brien from Sonobe in lane 7. And 2 Calgary athletes are Christiane Free in lane 8 and Julia Demchuk from Calgary as well, rounding the field in lane 9. So great to see some of the Prairie athletes here, and looks like we have a start here in the C final. Lane 1 closest to us, lane 9 on the far side. Should be, again, a quick one here for these athletes as we get this 500 meter underway.
Strong start from, it seems like lane 4 and lane 8 maybe are both neck and neck right now. Yeah, seems like lane 4 and 8. So Olivia Denman and Christian Free right now are in a really good spot, and everyone's paddling really well, paddling strong strokes and making sure that they're not falling behind and they're keeping up. Yeah, all right. And so from here it's really hard to see, but yeah, it seems like lane 4 is still in front and lane 8 is still keeping up. Maybe, okay, so lane 6 seems to be doing pretty well too, so Samantha Stein, and seems like the athletes are trying to come back, trying to, well, not come back, but catch up to lane 4, Olivia Denman. So lane 2 also has pushed up the stroke rate, Anna Bongo, and it's going to be pretty close at the end there. We're getting up to the last 100 meter very shortly, and like I said earlier, it's all about who can keep up those strokes and maybe even go up with the stroke rate. And it's hard to say, but it seems like Olivia is still doing really well in front, and but lane 2 has pushed up the stroke rate, and we cannot see on the far side, but the girls seem to be really pushing it, pushing, and lane 4, Olivia Denman comes first, and lane 6 and 3. 6 and 3 comes second and third. So Samantha Stein comes second, and Brooklyn Woodhouse comes third. Congratulations to the athletes. A very strong race and very close finish. The whole final, like everyone came really close. So congratulations to the girls.
Yeah, what a great finish here. We get to see Olivia finishing her race, stopping a little bit early, but she had enough of a lead to really close this out. Strong finish throughout for this C final as we're getting ready and to start the D final here in the women's K1. On that note, between these two races, I will bow out of the commentary as I have a conflict starting at 10, but you're in the capable hands with Laurence, who will cover the last two races of the morning broadcast here from the CKC National Team Trials from Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. So thanks everyone for watching and enjoy the last two races with Laurence. Thanks, Laurence, for doing this morning, and I'll talk to you tomorrow morning.
Thank you so much for coming, and I'll do my best to finish this strong. Thank you for being here. And so we have the next race in the next 2 minutes. This will be the D final of women's senior K1 500. And so the last set of finals for this race. And also right after that, we will have the Para-Vara 200-meter final 2. And these are the last two races for this morning's program. In the finals. After that, starting at 11:30, we will have the heats for the other distances starting. And so right now, this upcoming race in 2 minutes, we have from Masqua in lane 2, we have Rain Myers. In lane 3 from Cenobi, we have Molly Rusinak Short. In lane 4 from Masqua, we have Brianna Smith. In lane 5 from Cenobi, we have Fiona O'Donnell. In lane 6 from Lachine, we have Ali Wang. In lane 7 from Trois-Rivières, we have Océane Marchand. And so these ladies are just coming, this is a lot about experience, and these have the chance to have a D final because, like we said earlier, the men's kayak it couldn't have that chance at the last two athletes scratch. So it's interesting for these ladies to have a D final and be able to get more experience from this competition. And so they're on the lane. The starter has given the okay for the race. And we have the start. We can see, seems like everyone has had a good start, really strong, pushing the pace pretty early on. But this is normal. This is a good start. And hard to say, but it seems like we might have lane 6 Ali Wang and lane 2 from Masqua Rain Myers neck and neck. Yeah, pretty close. And so this is this is the first 250, and it all plays in the second 250, and that's when it's all gonna we'll see who is able to keep up the stroke rate until the end. And so shortly we'll get to the half point of the race, and we'll see if it's still between lane 6 and 2. Seems like lane 6 is still ahead. Maybe, I don't know, we cannot see the closer lanes. Seems like lane 6 is pretty much by herself right now, and it's a strong fight between lane 2 and 5 for the second and third spot. Ali Wang is really doing well. Very strong strokes, and lane 2 is really strong looking too. I guess the girls will shortly try to push the stroke rate. They're getting in the last 100-meter race part of the race, and it seems very in control for Ali Wang. From here, it's hard to say, but seems like Rain Myers is really pushing it too. And yeah, Ali Wong's coming first. And oh wow, strong. Okay, so seems like Rain Myers did come second, but we'll have probably to check on a photo finish maybe for the third and fourth place. Very, very close fight from all the girls. Congratulations. Yeah, so we have, like I said, Ali Wong in first place, and then yeah, so the fight was between lane 5 and 7 for who came third. And 5 is Fiona O'Donnell and Océane Marchand in lane 7. And we also have the results from the other two other races. So in the B final, I don't know if we mentioned it, but we have the confirmation Maron Bradley did come first with 159.1, and then Madison McKenzie came second with 2 minutes point 6. In third, we have Jessica Hogg with 2 minutes 1 second and 0.4. And this is top 3 for the B final. The C final, we have confirmation that Olivia Dinman came first with a 202.9. And in second, we have Samantha Stein from Balmy Beach with a 203.6. And in third, from Richmond, we have Brooklyn Woodhouse with a 204.3. And so, and we already have the confirmation for the D final, and we do have Ali Wong who came from Lachine, who came in first with the 205.5. Second place was Rain Myers from Masqua with the 209.08, and third and fourth were really, really close. So Shinobi Fiona O'Donnell came third with 209.4, 209.42, and Océane Marchand from Trois-Rivières came fourth with the 209.46. So this was a very, very close, sorry, very close race for the third place. Very impressive race from all the girls. And we will have the next race, the Parava 200-meter second final at 10:14. So I'll just take a short break and go drink some water, sorry.
was for the 1,000 meter races, and now it's on the shorter ones. So I'm about to get the angle of them coming down off until literally 12.
All right, so we will see in a short 8 minutes. We will have the last final for today with the Parava 200 meter for the second final. They had the first final yesterday, and we have a very wild, a wide field of athletes here. We have both men and women racing the Vaha to make sure there's enough competition within Canada to see everyone being able to perform their best. It's easier to perform when you have someone against you, so it's better to put everyone together. And so we actually have athletes from two athletes from Mascot, two athletes from Shawinigan, and also one athlete from Ottawa and one from Mississauga. So Ontario, Quebec, and Nova Scotia are well represented, and I'm sure we'll see a very interesting race. We have Mathieu Saint-Pierre, who made it to the Olympics last year, and we have other athletes who've made the national team many times, and it's going to be interesting. It's always a good race, Parava, because it's such a newer field. It's a bit like women's canoe, the field is new, but there's a lot of really good athletes, good potential, and it's always a very interesting race happening. And so these athletes, it's their second final, like we mentioned. And we have the starting list here. So in lane 2, we have Brianna Hennessy from Ottawa. In lane 3, we have Erica Scarf from Mississauga. In lane 5, we have Yves Bourque from Shawinigan. We have in lane 6 Mathieu Saint-Pierre from Shawinigan, who did make it to the Olympics last year. We have in lane 7 Jacob Woods from Mascot, and in lane 9 Benjamin Brown from Mascot. And like we mentioned, these athletes, Brianna and Erica, are you'll see there's lanes between athletes. This is depending on the category. So Brianna and Erica obviously are not racing in the same category internationally as our male athletes, but they do race here together to make sure everyone has enough competition on the line to feel like they can push themselves and really give it everything they have. And so yesterday we saw Mathieu Saint-Pierre, I believe. Wait, let me go back. So yesterday we did see Mathieu Saint-Pierre take the first place with a 55.6 seconds, and the others, we had Jacob Woods second, we had Brianna Hennessy from Ottawa third, and then Yves Bourque fourth, Erica Scarf fifth, and Benjamin Brown did not race yesterday. I don't know if he will be there today, but this is the field we have today, and I honestly don't know if the conditions have changed. I believe they have changed from yesterday, so it's going to be it's a pretty even field today for them to be racing. And so no worries on this side. It's a fair fight this morning with the weather still around 4 degrees in the morning. A little bit of tail side from the right wind, but very, very little. Nothing that seems worrying, honestly. And yeah, the athletes are getting ready, and it will be in short 4 minutes. right, so coming up in 2 minutes, we will see the second final for Paravaha 200 meter. As we can see, the athletes are getting on the line shortly. And again, we have in lane 2 closest to us, we have from Ottawa, Brianna Hennessy. Lane 3, Mississauga, Erica Scarf. Lane 5 from Shawinigan, Yves Bourque. In lane 6 from Shawinigan, Mathieu Saint-Pierre. In lane 7 from Mascot, Jacob Woods. And in lane 9 from Mascot, the furthest, Benjamin Brown. So athletes are getting on the line, getting ready to give it everything they have, because this is their second final. And I believe for Parava, they have to do a 2 out of 3. So depending on the results today and from yesterday, we might see some very happy athletes, or athletes who might have to fight it out again. I don't know. And so everyone seems to be ready to go. It's going to be in less than a minute. Getting into their booth. And again, closest to us in lane 2, Brianna Hennessy, and furthest on the other side, we have lane 9, Mascot, Benjamin Brown. And I've mentioned it earlier, but there are 2 lanes that are empty. So lane 4, well, between the athletes, lane 4 is empty, and lane 8 is empty to separate the categories. So don't worry, no one's missing this race today. And I believe they will be using the starting gates. Yeah, seems like they are. So everyone's getting ready on the line. We have I'll remind you, we have in lane 6 Mathieu Saint-Pierre, who went to the Olympics last year and who won yesterday the first final. And we have very strong contenders in every lane. All right, start has been given. This is a 200 meter. It's push until the end, give everything you have, and it's also a lot of experience for Mathieu, and from, Erica is also experienced, but more in kayak. Brianna has a really, really strong start, and Mathieu also. And it's about pushing, but also keeping up until the end. So we'll see if the lactate acid hits in the arms, or if not, if they're able to push until the finish line. And so it seems like Mathieu is still in front with Brianna. Hard to say who's if they're close or who's in front, but we'll see very shortly with the other view. And it seems Mathieu comes first. All right, and all right, so Brianna's coming second, and then Yves Bourque in lane 5 from Shawinigan, and then fourth was a fight between Erica Scarf and Jacob Woods in lane 3 and 7. And then in lane 9, closing up this race, we have Benjamin Brown. All right, congratulations to everyone. So this concludes our races or finals for this morning. Yeah, so we see again Mathieu coming first. Really strong race, strong contender who went to the Olympic Games last year. Brianna, who's a really, really strong finish and strong during the race, and Yves, Erica, and Jacob Woods coming shortly. And I guess we will have the results pretty shortly. If not, yeah, we'll wait a little bit for the results for this race. But but at least the first and second places were pretty clearly defined. So it's going to be a fight for who's third. Yeah. So in the meantime, I'll recap a little bit of what happened today. So we had a final for the women's C1 senior 200 meter, and we saw Katie Vincent from Mississauga taking the lead with a 46.8 second, followed closely by Sophia Jensen from Cascade with a 47.3, and in third place Sloan McKenzie from Chima with a 49.0. And then we had men's C1000 meter senior who saw Connor Fitzpatrick from Sonobe come first. Very good race from everyone there. And then in the A final for the men's K1000 meter, we had such a strong fight between Brian Malfacy from Ridge, who came first with a 3 minutes 37.9. 3 minutes 37.94, and Simon McTavish from Mississauga, who came second with a 3 minute 37.96. So 0.02 seconds between them. Strong fight till the end. And then we saw women's senior K1 500 meter. Michelle Russell from Chima came first, followed shortly by Andréane Langlois from Trois-Rivières. And then we got a lot of B finals and C, D finals, really impressive races all throughout. And then we officially have the results for the Para 200 meter final 2. So we had in first place confirmation that Mathieu Saint-Pierre from Shawinigan came in first with a 56.5. Followed closely by Brianna Hennessy from Ottawa with a 102.2, and then Yves Bourque came third with a 104.76. Erica Scarf came fourth with a 105.2, and we had Jacob Woods. Yeah, like I said earlier, Erica Scarf and Jacob Woods really close. So they came less than 0.4 seconds apart, with Jacob Woods from Moscow coming in at 105.6, and Benjamin Brown a 124.01. So congratulations to all the athletes for these finals this morning. They will be starting their heats very shortly at 11:30. But this is pretty much, this is it for me this morning, and I thank everyone for being with us and watching these races. Very impressive and very interesting morning of racing. This was the second day of the trials, and we'll be coming back tomorrow morning for the third day of these national team trials from Canoe Kayak Canada. Thank you very much for being here, and have a great day.
The song our paddles sing in the stillness tells the story of a country. It's a song born here that echoes through history. A note to distance, the unknown. We sweat, burn, push, and fight, not for money, glory, or accolades, because it reminds us of who we are. Screw loose daredevils and romantic obsessives, most ourselves in the rage and the whip and the whirl, or the reflective silence before the gun goes.